and this is a book review on a book I've read recently. Not really quite recently, but anyway, today I'm reviewing The XX Factor: How the Rise of the Working Woman Has Created a Far Less Equal World by Allison Wolf. This book was published in October of 2013, so relatively recently, by Crown. It has 416 pages, but around half of that are statistical figures and the bibliography, and it has 36 ratings on Goodreads. So essentially, this book is really looking at the statistics that people really look at when we're talking about the progress of women in the world, in the workplace, and really looking at the data, what does it really say, and how it's actually not really quite what you seem. This book contains a lot of statistical data, and I really did appreciate that. I really did like that a lot. It really paints a really interesting picture that I think validates some criticisms of the main pillars of the feminist movement, and the fact that a lot of times it kind of ignores lower income women and women of color. The main push of feminism really mainly focuses on middle class white women. But this book doesn't necessarily get in color, but it does definitely brings up the differences in between class and income and education that really arise in terms of women's progress in the world. It really showed that the segregation part, has created a far less equal world. I don't really think that tagline is really that appropriate, because it is more equal than it was before. And the thing is, the part that has become more unequal is the differences between educated women and uneducated women. When you look at the data of educated women, their lives kind of go in completely different track than uneducated women. Educated women obviously go to college more, they get jobs, they also get husbands that have the same education status as them. And it's very interesting how that men in general want to marry women who have the same education level that they do. They don't typically want to marry down, they want to marry someone that there is an equal. That is very valid, especially if they want children. I mean, men want women who are able to help with the education of the child and not necessarily have a wife that doesn't really know much, but then at the same time she's going to be helping raise a child and can't really help with the homework or anything like that. This book essentially brings up just the great disparity of the lives of educated women and uneducated women. And before, whether you were educated or uneducated, typically women were expected to give up their career if they got one and just raise children at home. But now, because of how our economy has unfolded, more women are staying in the workplace. When people talk about, a women have to give up their careers if they have children, the thing is, it's kind of not so applicable for educated women, because when educated women have children, they almost all go back to work. And the whole idea of once a woman has a child and then she has to leave the workforce, that's mostly true for uneducated women. This book really brings up, when we bring up those statistics or arguments about women in the workplace or women's careers or the potential of women, it's kind of conflating the realities of two different groups that lead two different lives. So I thought it was very interesting where it kind of put things in perspective. It doesn't really feed into the idea to conflate two different tracks that women can have, and how education can really drastically change how equal your life is in terms of gender. Pretty much it argues that if a woman is educated, she is pretty much treated almost as equally as a man. And in general, she doesn't necessarily put in extra work. If they look at the statistics of, an educated couple, the men actually do put in more hours at home if the wife's not there, and it's kind of, things actually do equal out. Like, men and women do work the same amount in and outside the home, and it's not necessarily as much of an issue. And so the thing is I think what Allison Wolf is saying, in a sense, is that when we try for these things and we scream success, we're kind of only screaming success for the middle to upper class educated woman is successful, but then they're kind of forgetting the uneducated lower income women. Those women are kind of the ones who lead more traditional women's lives. I did like those parts of the book. That was something I didn't necessarily realize, and I would be more aware of those discrepancies. And she has a lot of data to support what she's saying, but I did give this 3 out of 5 stars, mainly because some of the other extrapolations that she makes about, maybe feminism created some bad things. And I kind of felt that some of her analysis was overreaching. She has a lot of data. I'm not objecting to her data, but I'm objecting a little bit to her analysis and some of her implications. She kind of has an edge of, this is what we got with feminism. It's some good, some bad. It was the trade worth it? Some of the stuff that she says feminism caused, and she was kind of framing it as a negative. It's just like the first time I think I've ever thought of this, or if ever I'm gonna say this, but I think she was giving feminism a little bit too much credit in that sense. A lot of the things that she talked about with, women working more and how women are feeling about work and stress and all that kind of stuff. I think those are things that men have been feeling for a very long time. And I think that the more women are just, even working educated women are becoming equal to men, and she says they're more or less equal right now, the more that this is just the plight of working people. These are the plights of people who are working in this economy. Those are stresses that working people have to deal with, and it's no longer a gendered thing. And she was bringing it up like, oh my gosh, like women are now equal to men, and oh my gosh, now women are having problems that working men have had. It's kind of like, yeah, I mean, no one was saying that gender equality was going to create a world with no problems, or that there aren't any problems with it being a working professional. But she was kind of saying like, oh my god, this is happening. And it's like, yeah, I mean, like, someone working long hours has problems and paying bills and stress, and work is stress. I don't know what she was saying with that necessarily. And I think that a lot of these things are also a response to the economy that we have now in general, and a lot of these effects on women, or the trends that women are having through the reading this book, even though I kind of disagree with her in some sense, it kind of makes me realize that we are in a better economic state than we would have been if we were more reluctant to employ women and to rely on their expertise and to educate them. Because I mean, like, essentially doubling your educated and skilled populace and hiring them is always a good thing. I really did value this book for the information, but some of her analysis kind of seemed overreaching, and in some sense, like for the cons, I thought she gave feminism a bit too much credit, and I think that a lot of these things that she's talking about are just results of the economy, the fact that it's more the globalization. I mean, the work that is being done, the fact that so many industries are industrialized, the fact that, we're going more and more to automation, it's kind of relying less and less and less on the gender of the person who's pushing the button. And it's a lot of these things I realize were kind of inevitable, and feminism helped push that along when people might have been more reluctant, and it would have taken a more dire economic state to get people to do these things without feminism. But I thought it was interesting. I don't really like the under tagline of how, like, 70, how the rise, oh, how 70 million working women create a new society. There is a different tagline on the book than I'm seeing on the Goodreads page, but how the rise of the working woman has created a far less equal world. I don't agree with that statement. I still think that overall it has created a more equal world than it would have been before. It even says something like that near the conclusion, so I don't even know why this tagline is here. Yeah, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I really valued it for its statistical data. This book also covers stuff on sex life and why women still won't do prostitution, even though some do. And it's just when she gets into like the social analysis of certain things, I don't enjoy it as much. But when she's talking about economics, it's a really good book for that. So yeah, Gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I think it's worthwhile to read. I'm on the fence on if I should actually eventually purchase this. I didn't agree with her with everything, but the statistical data is useful. So I'm on the fence about it. Anyway, that was my review. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and have a great day. Bye!